A lot of people think you need a ton of different equipment and different oils to make soap at home. In reality, the only thing you might be missing to make soap today is sodium hydroxide, otherwise known as lye. And if you're new to soap making, sodium hydroxide is basically what turns oils into soap. This is the typical saponification reaction that people have been performing for thousands of years. Basically, you have your oils that contain some fatty acids like oleic acid from olive oil, lauric acid from coconut oil, stearic acid from shea butter, and so on. And those acids react with something we call lye or sodium hydroxide to produce soap and glycerin. Thousands of years ago, people did not use pure sodium hydroxide or pure potassium hydroxide, but they used wood ash, because wood ash would contain a substance called potassium hydroxide that would react with animal fats to produce soap. But now, of course, we don't need to do that. We have the pure ingredients. Today, you're going to learn 3 ways to make soap as a beginner, from the cheapest way to the most expensive way. And of course, the first one is the absolute cheapest. And this is not the method that you are going to use if you want to sell soap to your customers. This is literally the method that you're going to use if you're desperate about making soap and if you want to make soap today with what you have at home. And the reason why this is the cheapest, it will literally cost you $0.1 per soap. You heard me right, $0.1 per soap. This is like 10 cents. That's how much this soap will cost you. And I'm not even kidding. So let's take a look. Option number 1, will it technically make soap? Yes, it will. Is it ideal? Absolutely not. So let's take a look at recipe number 1. And recipe number 1 is a very simple soap recipe that uses olive oil and sodium hydroxide. I write here the cost of olive oil or other cooking oil you might have equals 0. And why is that? Because for this recipe we're gonna use cooking oil. I know it's not optimal, but this is the thing we're trying to do here. We're trying to calculate how much it would cost if you could make it the cheapest possible way. So you can still make soap with cooking oil. It's not optimal because cooking oils are oxidized and cooking oils might have a funky smell. And there is a way to remove the smell. There is a way to purify old cooking oil by filtering it out, mixing it with water so the bad odors will transfer to the water phase and leave the oil phase. I have a video where I saw how to purify old cooking oil. Then the sodium hydroxide, it costs around 7.9 euros per kilo. And for 1,000 grams of oils, you need around 130 grams of lye, which costs around €1 basically. And with €1, you can produce 10 soaps. So this is $0.10 per soap. Now, what equipment do you need for that? Of course, you need a bowl. Stainless steel bowl is the ideal bowl you need for soap making. Aluminum bowl, don't use, it reacts with lye, we don't want that. Can you use plastic? Yes, you can use plastic, but if it's not hard plastic, it's softer plastic, it will start wearing out and going into your soap, so it's not ideal. Then the other thing we need is water. And water, of course, is a bit tricky here because the experiment is to make the cheapest possible soap, so we can just use tap water. Is it ideal to use tap water? Absolutely not. So when you run your own soap making business, you want distilled water because it doesn't have any impurities. Tap water has a lot of inconsistencies. It changes batch to batch. On Tuesday, it has a high concentration of magnesium. On Thursday, it might have a high concentration of calcium. So it always changes, and this might affect your soap quality and performance long term, but it's still possible. And then you need something to mix, of course, the lye with water, and then you need preferably a stick blender, not the same stick blender you use for cooking, don't do that. You can still mix your soap by hand blending. It's not ideal, it takes a lot of time. You really have to sit above and hand blend until it reaches some light trace, and that takes time, but it's still possible. And then you need some sort of a mold to put your soap inside, which honestly, you can just take an old milk box or whatever it is and put it inside there. As a scale, you need a scale. So this is how you can make soap with literally 0.1 cents. Now recipe number 2. Here we actually use good quality pure olive oil, not cooked one, which costs around 9.7 euros per kilo, depends on where you are. So you just mix your olive oil with your sodium hydroxide, and then the price per soap overall, because this batch here can produce 10 soaps, it will be 1 euro per soap, which is still quite cheap. This type of recipe resembles a Castille soap recipe or a Marseille soap recipe that have a very high concentration of olive oil. Here's a fun fact you should know about soaps that are made with a high concentration of olive oil. Olive oil has very long fatty acid chains, so it takes a lot of time for these fatty acid chains to convert into soap. Therefore, a soap that has a high concentration of olive oil like this one will take up to a year to cure, literally a year to cure, cold process method, which means that you have to let it there. During that time, the oleic acid from olive oil will convert into soap, water from the lye solution will be evaporating, and through time it will become very hard, long-lasting, and the end result will be phenomenal. If you use it before that, if you use it before the 1 year curing time, you will end up having something that might feel really, really slimy in the shower and will actually literally melt in your hands. And now let's go to option 3. Option 3 is the most realistic one, because option 3 is the one that takes into account all the different ingredients, distilled water, essential oils, packaging, is what you need to start your own soap making business. So in this recipe, we include olive oil that gives conditioning properties, we include shea butter that gives creaminess, we include avocado oil that also gives conditioning properties, and it also contains some extra vitamins and antioxidants that are not in olive oil. We include coconut oil that will give a lot of cleansiness and bubbles to your soap, castor oil which will add a lot of thickness to your lather, and then we include a typical fragrance oil. So I like to use both fragrance and essential oils. Essential oils are natural, fragrance oils are synthetic. Fragrance oils are more stable and long-lasting, but the problem with fragrance oils is that you should always make sure you buy the ones that do not contain any phthalates, because phthalates are hormonal disruptors. You can also do the trick of combining fragrance oils with essential oils, because that's how you make essential oils more long-lasting. Then sodium hydroxide, our packaging, and our distilled water. So if we take all of this into account, for 1,000 grams of oils, we get around a price of 22 euros for the whole batch, and you can make around 10 soaps with that. So that's 2.2 euros per soap. This is a luxury handmade soap. This is just the cost of the ingredients. If we also take, of course, the cost of buying stainless steel bowls, a stick blender, a spatula just for soap making, then the price increases. But those ones, they're gonna last you almost forever, especially the metal bowl. If it's good grade stainless steel, you're gonna have it for years. The spatula the same. The stick blender, I've been having my stick blender for around 3 years. It works perfectly fine. And a digital scale. A digital scale is very important here, because especially when you work with 1,000 grams of oil, which is on the lower end, you want to have a digital scale with double digits so that you have accuracy. If you were to make a huge batch of soap that is like 10 kilos of oils, then accuracy is not that important, because the error is way lower. So it's fine if you use a different scale that is not that accurate, but for this one, digital scale will make a difference between amateur and professional soap. A lot of people think that soap making is very expensive, but in reality, if you want to make soap today, you basically need 7.9 euros to buy your sodium hydroxide. Instead of olive oil, you can use sunflower oil or rapeseed oil. You have those things at home. So it's not as expensive as some people think. But if you want to take it to the next level, from amateur to professional, and also sell your soap, of course, then you need different types of equipment, and you need a better understanding of your oils. As always, My aim with this channel is not only for you to learn how to copy recipes. My aim is for you to learn how to understand the properties of the different oils and how to tweak them to design your own recipes for your own goals. I want a soap, for example, that is suitable for dry skin, therefore I will probably minimize the concentration of coconut oil because it can be very drying. I want a soap that bubbles a lot and it can remove a lot of fat and grease. I will increase the concentration of coconut oil and use it as a dish soap, for example. That's how I want you to think. I want you to think as a formulator and understand completely the oils that you are handling. If you want to dive deeper, I have an ebook that explains a lot of different recipes, from hand soaps, body soaps, shampoo and conditioner bars, hand creams, massage candles, and so on. And the aim of the book is exactly that, to make you understand formulation and how to also design your own recipes and go from beginner to professional and sell your soap. If you want that, you can click the link in my bio. And guys, thank you so much for watching all the way to here. I hope you really enjoyed this video, and please leave a comment below letting me know what you think of this video, what you think of the economics of this video, because when I was starting out soap making, I was buying many different oils. One recipe was saying use palm oil, another recipe was you don't use palm oil. So I ended up buying a lot of different things and wasting money, and I don't want the same for you. I want you to have full control and understanding of your oils and what's going on now. So I'll see you guys next time.